Let's move on to a game that might not have as many fireworks in the Music City Bowl between Kentucky and Iowa. Iowa's a 2.5-point favorite here. Over under 31. I think it'll be the lowest total in college football history, I believe. And it's in a bowl game. Amazing. This game's in Nashville, Tennessee, Saturday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, noon Eastern, ABC. Be going on at the same time as Kansas State, Alabama. Nice little appetizers before the college football playoff. UK opt-outs, quarterback Will Levis, running back Chris Rodriguez, cornerback Carrington Valentine. Anyone I ever mentioned as an opt-out, only meaningful players for what it's worth, so they'll all be starters. Destin Wade is expected to get a first career start for Kentucky at quarterback, and then they're going to have a fourth-string running back in there. Kentucky also fired their offensive coordinator. I still don't know who's going to call plays. On the Iowa side, safety Kayvon Merriweather opted out. They also had a couple receivers in the transfer portal, and both of their starting quarterbacks are out. So you will have third-string quarterback Joey Labus, or Labus, I don't even know how to pronounce it, make his first collegiate start. Tight end Sam Laporta, one of the best in the country. Looks like he is expected to play. I took Iowa here on the money line. I would take them again on the money line. And look, in a game with a total of 31, and in bowl games where, if the team scores a touchdown at the end, you're probably not going to play for overtime. You might go for two. I would look for a cheap money line here, especially with this total. Every point means like this game could end 8-7, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I think that Iowa, and look, their third string quarterback, it might be an upgrade over the quarterback play they got this year. They got no quarterback play. And this kid, apparently he can move a little bit. He was impressive in the spring game at times. Like maybe it's an upgrade. Whereas I guess with Kentucky, I think it's a clear downgrade. Their offensive line was poor all year. They don't have, who's calling plays. They don't have Chris Rodriguez. They lost their other backup, Smoke, in the transfer portal. So you're down to a fourth-string running back because your third string was also got hurt. So, and I just think that Iowa's used to winning these types of games, and they're used to winning with their defense. And I just find it hard to see how Kentucky can move the ball. And I see Iowa forcing a couple turnovers, make a couple plays on special teams, and that'll be the difference. I can't play an under 31 in a bowl game, but this one should be ugly. It's Iowa money line for me. I think they find a way. The quarterback drop-off is much more important for Kentucky because their offensive line has been bad all year. So give me the Hawkeyes here in a rematch. This is a rematch of last year's bowl game. What do you see here?
Well, I'm staring at the board with a key number of 31. I'm seeing one book I shop at 30.5, another one at 31.5. So I think I should stop talking and go lay on both sides and just see if it lands 31. But yeah, listen, I mean, if there were full participation in the rosters, I would make this total 36. So when you miss some of the players that they're talking about, I can see why there's the dip in this number. But consider these rosters last year, right? I mean, we just have this sample. Most of the same players played in the Citrus Bowl last year. Wan'Dale Robinson, Chris Rodriguez, Sam Laporta, Spencer Petras, Will Levis, they all played last year. The final score was 37 points. You take away all those names I just mentioned, with the exception of maybe Laporta, who's going to try to play. I mean, I can understand why this is 31. I can even make a case it should be lower without those names because they did not replace any of them with anything that's quality.
Yeah, and Kentucky's offensive line got significantly worse.
Yes. Laporta has been practicing for 4 weeks off of surgery now. His draft profile has all the highlights that he needs, but he's still going to play here. And, quarterback Joey Labus is going to get the start for Iowa. He was the scout team quarterback. He says he has a lot of familiarity with some of the pieces in practice because it's some of the scout team players too. Iowa finished 130th in pass blocking. Kentucky's just going to be able to roll through that offensive line and get some pressure on this scout team quarterback. And Destin Wade's going to get the start for Kentucky. Deuce Hogan and Kaya Sharon, they're also going to get to see the field, but this job belongs to Devin Leary next season. So it's kind of a throwaway game here from the quarterback position. But Wade was recruited as an athlete. I got some dual threat capability here. Baylor, Arizona State, Cincy, they all had offers out for this kid. So we'll see what he can do. If he's got legs and he can get outside the tackles, that's a plus for Kentucky. The Iowa losses in the secondary are Kayvon Merriweather and Cooper DeJean, both combined for 7 interceptions this season. But does that matter with Destin Wade? Is he going to be chucking it downfield for Kentucky? Maybe not, because it's a ground-based attack. And Iowa is the far superior defense when it comes to coverage. pass rush, line yards, and havoc. I mean, there's a huge gap with havoc in these teams, and it all belongs to Iowa. So for that reason, and special teams,
And
huge
special teams
gap.
too.
Yeah, Iowa's 4th, Kentucky 73rd. So there's just so many things in the intangibles that are important in Iowa football that says that Iowa's going to win here.
Yeah, Kentucky's, they struggled kicking the ball. They also had a punter, they're down to a backup punter. They struggled in special teams, and Iowa's obviously elite in that category, elite at causing havoc. And I think that's the difference. I think that they cause an extra turnover to probably score on defense. That's probably how the Iowa scores. And then special teams, they're going to pin Kentucky deep with their punting. They're going to play conservative. If you're going to bet an under in the game, it's not like Kirk Ferentz is going to play aggressive because it's a bowl. He's going to play how he plays, and especially with his personnel. So, and then Kentucky struggled to punt the ball, so Iowa have better field position. And not for them to go to score, for them to then flip the field back and pin Kentucky deep and maybe get a safety. So, yeah, this one won't be your prettiest game of the weekend, but I think Iowa gets it done. I like the money line.